Let's get it started.
Double O.
Think like a rapper.
Check 1 2. This is episode 110 of Think Like a Rapper with Double O. Ooh, we get in the weeds on this one. This is definitely a producer's producer podcast. I often stay away from extremely in-depth industry sort of conversation because I feel like so much of what I've learned within the culture and within the industry is applicable outside of it. But sometimes you just gotta nerd out. That's what happened when I caught up with my homie Melo X, an amazing creator, producer, visual artist. If you haven't, make sure you just type in his name and Bad Habits and check out his remix of Maxwell's Bad Habits from a couple years ago. You may know him as the producer of Beyonce's Sorry, to me one of her dopest club records. And he's just an all-around badass from Brooklyn, New York. But we caught up while we're both on the West Coast to discuss extremely nerdy, in the weeds producer talk, at least at first. But then we start to expand it because the moment at hand is obviously something that is hard to not discuss. We talk about how to balance cohabitation when there are two creatives living in the house. We kind of dig into what social norms, what stories, what ideas about society, about the creative we think will never return. And in this time of limitation, we also talk about some of the things that we do to purposely limit ourselves in order to find creative breakthroughs, whether that be just producing on an iPad, whether that be setting a timer and whatever you have done in that time is what it is, and a bunch of other things. We just caught up, so check it out. Episode 110, we are officially 10th episode of the new iteration of the podcast with Melo X. Let's get it.
1 2.
Oh shit, we here.
There we go.
What up, man?
Chilling. How you?
I'm good. What's going on?
Good. Just in LA. Just staying safe. Feel me?
Let's start there because I also escaped. I'm currently I'm a little outside of LA right now.
Okay.
But what made you move out here? It feels like now it was definitely kind of like the right move because there's you can have a bit of distance without feeling as crazy as you would in New York, like
Right.
weathering through this storm. But what made you come out here? Because you've done it now. It was a couple of years ago now, right?
Yeah, I've been living here for 4 years now. And the first time I've been coming out here maybe since maybe since 2009 or 2010, just like randomly like for gigs and shit like that. But every time I came throughout the years, I would stay longer and longer. And then it came to a time when I was working on a bunch of things for Nike. Mm-hmm. So they would do these like workouts. But they were like these group workouts. So it was like they had a few they do like it was called epic workouts. So it was like an hour or 2 hour mix that I would do with them and work with a trainer. So it'd be like, my mix is playing and it'd be like 1, 2, 3 now. Abs. You know what I'm saying? But I would do my mix, like my Melo X shit in there, you know what I mean? But I was doing a lot of those out here, and then at the same time, I started doing a lot of stuff for Parkwood, for Beyonce's company. So that, and then along with me just like touring and being out here more, it was like, it ended up being, let me stay at your crib for like a month. Then it was like, all right, let me find an Airbnb for 6 months. And then it was like, we might as well just like pay for a spot. Cause it's like, it got to a point where, paying to come out here and stay was costing more than just like living out here.
Yeah. How have you?
So the business, I would say the business brought me out here, really. And
how have you liked it since you've been out here?
Oh no, I love it. I'm really, I've always been on some hermit type shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've always just been like in my bat cave. So I really took that time to just build a life and just like learn about myself more and just, create in different realms, do different shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It's funny because I talk to a lot of people from New York, and they when they make the move out here, I think because they see everybody's Instagram and they're like, yo, it's just popping, it's popping, it's the weather's nice all the time, and everybody's at these cool parties. How if you don't put in the work, how isolating LA can actually be, because it's like everybody's just, you get in a car and you go from that car to apartment back to your back to the store or whatever. You don't have to actually interact with with anybody, and you don't want to. So it definitely benefits somebody who, like you said, you can easily be a hermit here and then pop up like every 6 months, like, oh shit, where you been? It's just like, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, fucking work.
Nah, real shit, because like I was working on a bunch of music while I was here too, and what it also made me do was like, since I'm born and raised in Brooklyn in Flatbush, so a lot of my life is there, and all of my music is inspired by my upbringing and just my travels around the world. Coming back to Brooklyn, we're like so now that I like live somewhere else, it actually made me reminisce more and go more into like these deeper rhythms and bags and ideas. And like when I do go back to BK, is almost like I'll go through some of my, my old stuff and just like research myself, my own mythology, you know what I'm saying? And I'll come back with more inspiration, like, so it's kind of good to step away so that you can almost, I don't know, it's like you got to kind of like miss where you're from sometimes, and then it makes you reminisce in a different way than when you're there. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. Has the move changed your actual aesthetic sonically?
I would say, sorry, just want to close the windows, man, like shit driving by. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's just allowed me to, I don't know, I feel like I've always been like an experimental ass nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like I always just been experiment. So it just allowed me to like really go in, so, on different levels. So on one level, it's like I was DJing with my laptop, with Serato, and I was working on stage design shit, and I was thinking about my own stage. I was like, damn, I don't want a laptop on the stage. And I'm like, I gotta like, even though I like having all my music, like, let me see if I just could put it on a flash drive. Cause the Pioneer mixers, as long as they're all Ethernet connected and all Pioneer, you could just have your flash in and then DJ. Yep. So it made me go through all my music and just see like how much stuff I never play or how much stuff is just in my laptop. So I kind of like created like an ultimate, mix of music. And I was like, all right, now I could pull up and just plug in and play. Like, all right, now I'm about to do that. So I started doing more residencies and just like, I'll do like events and just hit up the homies like, yo, come through. And that was just me training myself, just in the training, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't like, when I moved out here, it was more so, let me get into that like hyperbolic time chamber type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me like train. So I was like, I'm gonna do the DJ training. Like, I gotta be able to just pull up and kill it anywhere. Like, so that kind of like really, doing all of that on that level, and then also musically, because I was reminiscing a lot, I just started tapping into more like Caribbean shit, more like just older hip hop or rap or R&B or whatever that I was into, because I was just reminiscing about being out there. And then also being out here and being, downtown, and my friends just out here and shit, and just being inspired, definitely elevated the sound,
Yeah, you, man, you have more balls than I do, because like I get petrified. I have a backup on a USB stick, but it's like, I think, and it might be just because I'm entirely too scatterbrained, but like I've gotten so used to typing in, like knowing the song and just typing in the first couple or whatever and being able to find it. And so if I had to scroll,
that was annoying. Okay, so the newer CDJs, CDJ Nexus 2000X or whatever the hell, it has a search option. So, and because the screen is big, like you could just type, you know what I mean? So it does have that, but I will say like that knob shit, you definitely got to get used to that. You know what I'm saying? You got to. But I also like I said, I always like to experiment shit, but like when I started DJing, I had, turntables and shit. I had vinyl, collecting vinyl. Yeah. So when I went out to DJ, I always wanted to have all the music because I was the kind of DJ, like I'm going to play whatever. Like I don't care what kind of night it is, I'm playing whatever. So I would have to bring like 4 crates, 5, you know what I'm saying? And then get paid for the gig. And then what I'm paid is like the cab to go and come back is like what I got paid because I got big ass crates. You know what I'm saying?
Everything was limited by the fucking, like, how much can your back take that night?
Right. Like, yo, I had my friends like, yo, you gotta help me, yo, come through the spot, help me carry these crates. But then I got into CDJs. So I transferred all that music to like CDJ. So now I had just MP3s, everything, but I had it on CDs. So I was one of them CD motherfuckers. Like I had the pack of CDs. Then finally, like I got a laptop. I'm like, all right. So I got a Serato, but the Serato reminded me like when I had the crates, like I had all the music. Like I could play whatever at any time, you know? So it's definitely, it's not to that, it's not there essentially when you first start off, but when you go through all your music and you really see what you really play, you could get like a mega mix of just and have that on a flash on you. You know what I'm saying? You good. Like
no, you're right. I've experimented because I spend so much time on the road with artists now. I split it between that and the club. Like I almost have 2 different setups. And so like, when I'm on stage, because I've dealt with so many issues before now, it's like I do the CDJs as MIDI controllers into the laptop because I've had the USB sticks jump out because of the bass, jump out of the CDJs. And I've had the CDs scratch and
yep.
And so because of that, I'm just like, you know what?
Yeah.
If it's all MIDI, I can just unplug and plug that back in and it'll be fine.
Yeah. People don't use the MIDI with the CDJs.
Well, they think I'm crazy.
No, it's fire though.
Yeah, because it turns it into just one big controller and all the cue points, everything already pop up. You can
you connect the forgot what it's called, but you could see the screen. You could see like all the songs on the screen.
All you need is the MIDI. I mean, as soon as you plug the MIDI into, I use a USB hub. Sorry that we're getting real nerdy on you guys right now.
That's why I hit you up. I'm like, oh yeah, we gonna get to do all that.
Anyway, when you plug it into a USB hub, it just all connects and through MIDI it's amazing. But I did see on your Instagram stalking you now, you have one of those new fucking Pioneer.
Yeah.
But that's for DJing, right? Like, are you using that for production now, or?
Yeah, so it's definitely all right. So first, there's one that came out called the Torres, right?
Yeah.
A Torres something sampler. And that came out, and it was basically kind of like this, but it was more of like a sampling machine. Like it was rectangle, So I did a lot of stuff on that. I got Machine Drum actually. My boy Travis, he gave it to me. So I, did a bunch of shit. And I got lit on it, but it had limitations because what I would do is, my girl Corey, she would play music, right? Like she's like the ill playlist DJ. Like her playlist game is crazy. So she would play music, and I would just make a beat to whatever she's playing. And then if the beat changed, I would change the tempo. Like if she changed the song, I would change the tempo, but the same beat, but I would just change the tempo and just keep going and then change the tempo key. And by the end, I had like a whole kind of weird thing that I could either create a track from or use as sound banks or like sample pack. You know what I'm saying? So, but the limitation on that was it didn't have like to change the tempo was not that easy. So with the update one they have, this one is really for CDJs. Like when you connect them, you can make beats on top of whatever you're playing because it syncs it has a knob and everything. It syncs just like just like CDJ.
Yeah.
So for that purpose, like it's dope because I could do that, but it has limitations, but I kind of like the limitations. Like, you know, it makes me feel like I'm on like dealing with the NPC, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, because it's like I'm a DJ and a producer and it kind of mixes both in a way, you know? So what you gonna say?
No. I've been, the longer you get into this as a creative and all of these new tools keep popping up. For a while I was just going, you know, you get crazy and you just start downloading every crack VST plugin possible. And then you have too much shit.
Right.
And yeah, I've been trying to get back to like going to things that I started working with like 10, 15 years ago and just say like, I have this program from you know, like I still am rocking. Sometimes I'll crack open like Reason 5, which is over a decade old. And to be like, this is all I can use to do, you know, like for the next week to make sort of joints. And it doesn't give me the limit. It doesn't give me the abilities that Ableton does. But like you said, within those limitations, really interesting stuff comes in, because when you have those constraints, it allows your mind to, I think, sometimes explore the lines and ways around those, you know what I'm saying, those constraints, you know, rather than being like, it's limitless, you can do anything. And it's just like, oh, well, if I can do anything, then it means I can do nothing. You know?
Yeah. I definitely had that. Like, I had like, anytime I add a new VST or something, I either got the cracked one or I paid for it. Like, you know, I had every VST, but then I was zoning on one, like, all right, let me learn every aspect of this one, like Serum or something. Like, let me learn this whole shit. Or like Analog Lab or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's true, yo. I feel like sometimes when I do go back to those folders, like now I use Ableton. I use like the iPad a lot in Ableton. But when I go to like FL Studio and hear some of the older stuff, that's where I pull a lot of like samples from, or just sample myself. Or like, you know, sometimes I use FL Studio for certain effects, certain things. It's like I know how to do it in this. Like I just got to go back to that world. It's almost like a world to me. Like FL, I used to be in like FL Studio. I was in the program. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now you were. I remember, you know, when we would be in New York and I would see you do your live sets in Fruity Loops. I don't think that I know anybody else still like really doing the live set producing live sort of stuff that you were doing. You know, everybody basically waited until Ableton you know, was up and rocking to do it. And
you know what it was? It was kind of like Ableton was out, right? And I always just like challenging myself again. It's like, I'm a challenge myself. But I wanted to learn Ableton, but I just couldn't get, like, at that time, I couldn't get on the clip line shit. I just couldn't get it. I just didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't compute. And like Travis would try, Machine Gun would try to, you know, teach me shit like, yo, this how I'm like, yo, I just didn't get how to, you know, take what I'm creating and bounce it out to like, dude, I just wasn't there yet. Yeah. But in FL, it was almost like I knew just the coding of FL. I just knew like how to, so I did mad different shit to make that shit work just like Ableton for me.
Yeah, no, I think
it was a different, it was like, that was around like 2010 or something. I was performing with that. You know what I'm saying?
But it's so important because I think sometimes, especially young producers, now I'm sure you've seen them where they'll talk to you and they'll say, hey, you know, I want to do this, but I can't do it yet because I don't have this thing. I don't have this next thing. I don't have this other thing. And it's just like, you know, I don't know if you read the Kanye GQ article. No. But that fool said in one of them that I think he recorded like maybe a quarter to 30% of the last album on his iPhone. Like he's just doing voice notes and doing whatever now. And it, not that I always approve of just doing crappy stuff when you don't have to, but I think it's always a reminder that like how you use the tools, education behind it is always the thing that makes the work great. It's not about you having or not having that.
Yeah. You know, I feel like now it's just, you know, I feel like motherfuckers just say shit just like, You know what I mean? Like, oh, I didn't know. You know, but it's like there's actual artists, like I would say, like James Blake. There's certain like retrograde time, that song, like a little before, some of that stuff he recorded on the phone. Like a lot of that is him just recording on the phone, doing it, but it's not like a selling point. It was like part of his art of how his like, you know, he was like a you know, the digital lo-fi kind of sound. You know what I'm saying? And I do like I definitely have like small microphones that I connect to my iPhone. Just so I could get clean sound. There's like a Shure I could have, it's somewhere here.
Yeah,
but
MV something.
Yeah, MV1 or something like that. But also, you know, I do like the digital distortion sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I have an app in the App Store called Curate Alpha, and it, you know, it has kind of like a digital distortion feel to it too. So I do fuck with that. You know?
Yeah, it your journey has been so interesting because you exist in this world where obviously you have Beyonce records, right? Mm-hmm. So basically the top of the top, there's nothing higher to go. Mm-hmm. But you still stay in the club with the parties, and especially like Electric Punani. Mm-hmm. And then you'll do something like that where you'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm curating this, you know, this art show, this visual journey, or this app. A, how the fuck do you find time to do all of that? And B, was it because, did you use basically the success that happens in the Beyonce Parkwood space to essentially just fund all these other ideas, or is it just something that you were going to be doing regardless?
It's definitely the latter, because part of the reason why you know, I initially got to work with her was because I was doing all that shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, doing like, you know, all the different mixy shit. I'm just like a multi-dimensional nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see all these different hats as like the same hat, is just creating, you know. And I got to a point where I was, you know, creating music and realizing that I have all these other ideas and just doing that. I think when it got to the point of, you know, let's say like the Maxwell remix I did in 2010 that, like, you know, he fucked with it and then started using it on tour. I was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Even before that, like the first one I did was the Amy Winehouse remix project. And that was in like 2008 maybe. And I remember just putting it out at that time and being like, just seeing how it resonated with people on MySpace.
Man, those days.
You know what I'm saying? Like, see how it's, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, I see a vibe here. Like, all right. And then Maxwell, he fucked up. I'm like, oh, okay. I see that when I do shit that my spirit tell me to do it, like, yo, just do it. Like, yo, that shit fire. Like, sample that whole album. Like, just the shit that I've maybe never heard or I seen somebody else doing is like, oh, I could do my version of that shit. I just follow that.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's not me rapping or not me doing whatever was like my main or whatever the hell, it's like, I'm gonna just follow that. So I think people, you know, fuck with that energy. They gravitate towards it. And she is just one of those artists that even though she, whatever people may plateau, whatever people may put her on, which she rightfully deserved, you know, she still has her ear, or at least have people around her who are open to working with somebody like me who just took her fucking album and remixed it. Yeah. And just put it up, and then shit got taken down. Yeah, this shit got took down. You know what I mean? It's like, it was a whole journey of me putting it out, but it caught, you know, the right eye, you know what I'm saying? Or it just caught people's attention in the right way, you know what I'm saying? But it's all really from me tapping into doing whatever the fuck I want to do. Like, I'm gonna just do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna do that shit. You know?
I think there was something so, and I've been trying to think about how to cover it, talk about it, whatever. But I think there was something so special about that time, about the, I mean, I guess you can really only label it as kind of like the blog era and the hipster
blog era. Blog
you know,
era, yo.
You know,
I give it blog era, yo. Blog era, yo. Blog era, you know.
And I wonder, can we get back to that sort of creative space, because I feel like we were in a space, especially in New York at that time, New York, Chicago, and then definitely with what, Flying Lotus and Jack Davey, J Davey, and Brooke and everybody were doing out in LA. There were like these pockets of just people. We didn't know if there was money at the other end of it. We hoped that it could be that, but we literally would just like ideas and like, fuck it, no one's done this before, let's see if you can do this, because there was no roadmap. How do you find living in LA now and being older and now being a dad as it comes to like finding those sort of creative inspirations? And then do you think that there is another era like that can exist, especially in the time that we are now, where like the world is fucking in this really weird sort of space and it feels like something new is going to happen next? But
yeah, I think like, I feel like is like, the more I look at, I'm gonna get deep real quick. You know what I'm saying? The more I look at reality, son, everything is a cycle, right? But it's like, it's weird because it's layered like this. Because I feel every generation got a portion of that generation that was like, we on some next shit, and then later on, everything is based on the next shit. That's just how this reality work. It's always that. So right now, there's definitely a energy, especially now, people, who have to be inside, go within, deal with like, maybe that person that they didn't want to be around, or like that idea that they've been sleeping on. It's like, all right, now I got all the time, or whatever, everybody dealing with different ways, obviously. But I just think, with the generation that we were at, I feel like the internet and the way we were able to just, I could hit everybody on the internet, like everybody around the world at a certain point, through like blogs or SoundCloud at that time, whatever it was. I think that was like our version. Like we just was like, oh, we about to go in there. We about to like, and we definitely utilize it. And I feel like all the people who, all the different things that work, I feel like the industry and platforms that was built after were like, okay, this is going to be like the archetype of how we do this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now we have like a whole slew of, creators and music and art, everything out.
Yeah, no. I mean, you think about, it's like, I often talk to Knowledge about like, man, we could have monetized MySpace back then.
Bruh.
You know what I'm saying?
Bruh. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, all right, so with the Amy Winehouse joint, right? I made a separate MySpace for it, right? And I was putting up stuff. And it got so much play, so much shit on there. It's like, if it was like, that's the thing, it was just a free fall. It's like, we gonna get it. And we know that there's a monetization, I feel like everybody knew that was the point, but I think a lot of us were maybe thinking too traditional of like needing a label or needing a this or just needing something outside of like, Bill. Of course, the tools weren't there like that. You know what I mean? Tools weren't there like that, but there are artists who did it, who have done that, continue to. So
yeah, there were definitely some people that knew. I mean, I will say the biggest crutch we had, Kids in the Hall, is like, yeah, our idols were late 90s, early 2000s rap labels, and so
right,
and like the idea is you wanna sometimes you want to envision success the way that you've put it on that pedestal, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like it has to happen that way in that journey. And sometimes in doing that, you take some missteps in not realizing how the success is sort of rolling in front of you, and looking back, I definitely think it was one of those things where it's just like, oh, okay, we didn't have to make songs for the radio, or you didn't have to make certain kinds of joints. Because you look, when Flex dropped a bomb on some of our records, it's, you know, the greatest feeling ever, but it also is like, oh, but there's no payola after that. So you might get that one favor, but the thing that makes it work is this whole old industry.
Right.
You know, I think sometimes we, at least in that transition, we definitely got caught up in this idea that that there was some success was going to come the way that it used to, and not in this new crazy way that you would get plucked off of internet videos, you know what I'm saying, from the crib, and it just be like, yeah, go work with the biggest artist in the world because you're here doing you know. What version of that of your MPD was that still the first one that you had been rocking with, or had you go through a few of them? Because I've gone through a few of them since I've started.
You talk about from back then?
Yeah.
I had the MPD 32.
Yeah.
I believe. And the first one I had, like, that shit only had 2 faders left, yo. Yeah, I need to get some wine too. You sipping on the wine right now. That shit only had 2 faders left, yo. Damn. I was like, hey, yo. So that was God 1. That was God. So if you look at any video, you see God on the back. That was the first one. So by the time I had 2, I was like, I gotta get the next one. So I got the same one.
Yeah.
And that was God 2. And that one, maybe there was like that one. Oh, so what happened was that one ended up having only 4 faders left. But what it did was, like, it just made me, you know, because we're able to, when you make a beat and you put an Ableton to perform or whatever, you track it out. Yeah. So it just made me start producing and just like doing shit in a certain way to where it was like I had, you know, drums, kicks on one, I had bass on one, I had effects, and then strings and keys. Yeah. And I just was able to I was like, all right, if this is the only 4 channels I got, like, I gotta manipulate the fuck out of this thing. So that just, you know, that limitation, you know, brought on some new shit. But now I got this other one here that I've been loading up, and like, all right, let me do some more videos. Cause my boy Joshua Kissy, he brought it up to me like, yo, you might have to do some of those. Cause I do remixes and shit, but I just like send it to friends. I've been doing so much music and I just like send it to friends and play. They hate me though. They so tight. But I need to actually like not make that a crutch and like, nah, I gotta put out shit. So I've been working on remixes and shit, you know.
You know, sometimes I remember talking with DJ Wonder about this once, and it was like one of those things where it was we were talking about just some of the DJ sets that we used to do, or these ideas that cats used to have of like, oh, playing this and playing this, or playing, you know, throwing these sort of era specific or even state specific sort of records into mixes, all this sort of stuff. And then you see it come back full circle where it's like the mainstream is now doing DJing a certain way, right? Like when I first got to LA, nobody was playing dancehall.
Oh yeah.
And now some of the biggest parties, obviously.
Yeah.
You know,
like I could say probably Electric Punani was like, we brought definitely a certain energy, and we worked with a lot of the cats that, you know, that run a lot of those parties. You know what I'm saying? So, and they've had us on their events as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's dope to see, because I feel like when you're at a certain point not in the industry, just in life, I guess, as a creative, you're inspired by so much, but you start to see, you know, what you inspired. You start to meet people that, you know, will say like, yo, I was inspired by you, but you start to meet more people like that, and it makes you see like, oh, okay, like, you know, following what I love to do is like resonating, you know, and it resonates past to where people probably don't even know about you, but they like have the energy and you just see it and feel it. You know what I mean?
But does that feel sometimes then that like you're so far ahead that you don't want to go back to doing, let's say, the producer videos, because that's old shit to you? Because that was
right. You see, so that's that future nigga shit I've been dealing with. It's like I'm such a future nigga, like, because it's, you know, when I was doing those, it wasn't a, you know, I would say for me, who inspired me to like do those, and I was seeing was like no such thing, and Machine Drum. Like Machine Drum had one up, or like a few other, and then No Such Thing, I would just watch this shit on loop and then learn like, okay, every time he pressed that, it's skipping. Every time he pressed that is okay. So that's how you do it. You know, and just learn from all these different things and create my own whatever. But then it like, you know, I did a bunch of them and them shits got lit. So it always got lit, but then it was nothing after the lit. It was, you know, and then, you know, I do shows, I do certain things. I would say I didn't, because I'm not one of those artists that, you know, always tour. I always just did like pop-up things like that. It's like, you had to really be into Melo X, follow me to like, But obviously, you know, I could have did like a slew of them. But, you know, like you said, it was just like, like, you know, like I remember I did one for Mary J. Blige, like when she did the crispy chicken commercial. I did one on YouTube sampling that shit. That shit caught a little wave. Like that was the last one I did. Like but then I did, you know, I did a few after. I did one recently for Queen and Slim, but that one was me fucking with the iPad and just like going into that world. But I definitely gotta go back to that. You know, I think it was an aesthetic of like being like in front of the camera, like, you know.
Yeah. No, it's like it doesn't matter what I do. Like my biggest videos on my Instagram channel are if I do anything like that. It's like if the MPD is up and you're doing a couple little effects, those joints always blow out any podcast content, anything.
Yeah.
Do you see the future of production in the iPad? In the like
not really. I mean, I think it's definitely something that's going to be utilized. It's being utilized like throughout production all over. You know what I'm saying? Like mad people have been using it for years. It's almost like, I think it's a point where people will mention it just for like purposes of mentioning it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But it also is a tool. It's almost like a VST. You can use it like that too. So like, you're not talking about all the VSTs you use all the time, you know? So I feel like people have been using the iPad, but it's not like a thing. But now that I feel like people see it's a thing, then more people is going to be, oh yeah, I've been using it. You know? But I think it's going to be something that because it's almost like a laptop. Like as the iPad become even more powerful and it's more like a laptop, is going to just replace the laptop. Yeah. So you're going to be using it like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, eventually, I think.
Because I don't know if you saw that interview with Madlib where he was like, he's been doing that for like, I don't know, however many years, 6-7 years or something like that.
And I would say for me, being somebody who's been into using an iPad for like around that same amount of time, at least just knowing about it and like using certain things and be like, whatever. But then like 4 years ago, I was like, let me go in and seeing all the apps. I see exactly why he used it. You know what I'm saying?
What do you,
I see exactly why. You know?
To not give up too many secrets. What are you using? Are you on Beatmaker or?
I use every app that's come out. Like dead ass. But Beatmaker 3 is, I would say, the main go-to as far as like if I'm in the studio saying work with somebody or whatever, like I could go in on Beatmaker 3. You know, I've done whole things on there. But before Beatmaker 3 came out, I was still getting busy on there just with like Chord Gadget, you know, and just the different apps. Like Patterning is a dope app, but they have all these weird, and the reason why I say I know, you know, why he fucks with it, because on some like, you know, some future nigga shit, it's almost like when you in the studio and you have like the sampler here, like I could see him having like the Roland Boss whatever here and like the MP over here and like the World here and like this here and this da-da-da-da. And when you have your apps and the certain ones you fuck with that you can create your sound, really sound design with it, it's almost the same thing. You have this app here, you have this app here, and you could connect them same way how it's, you know, it's almost like a toy. It makes it fun. You know, you hitting the, you know, the screen, or if you connect it, however you use it, you know, it brings kind of that. For me, it just brought like, I started buying more drum machines and just like samplers and shit. And I started getting back into like twisting knobs and shit. And the iPad kind of felt like that because I had to like tap shit and, you know, so it kind of felt like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. It makes perfect sense. I think, again, it comes back to what it always, what seems to be the, you know, a lot of the crux of this conversation, which is like, oftentimes just challenging yourself by limitation is how you get to that sort of next point. And to even piggyback off of that, so now that you can't go outside, what's been for you creatively about this quarantine, and what's been bad about it?
Well, I mean, besides just knowing that people are dying from this shit, and people just, I would say, as much as people are dying, people are mentally some just going cuckoo and shit, so just the knowledge of that definitely just weighs. But I would say, because I've been such an artist that stays to myself, you know what I'm saying? Me and my girl, we both full-time artists. So I'm used to kind of like having a project, staying home for 3 weeks or something to like focus on something and go in. So, and for us, we're always building and talking to each other about like things in the past we probably ain't deal with, or just learning, or just talking about what's going on, government, or just in life, learn about nature. Like we always just on that. So now it's just, we're just on that more, and there's other people on that. So I've been having more like weekly just Zoom conversations with my friends, and just like hitting people up a little more, just, feeling like I need to do that more, and seeing how I'm lacking in that and how that can affect people around me,
Sure.
So I think just this time has been like, I'm focused more on that. So it's really nothing bad. Like I really take it as like, it's wins and then it's learning. It's no losing. It's like wins and learning. Like you either win or you're going to learn. Like, all right, this time I ain't going to lose next time. Like, yo, this is what I got to do next time to win. Like, so I just take it like that. Like, given all the fuck shit going on around with it. Like, you know what? I'm going to go within and, deal with my shit within and become a fucking mutant. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have any like practices that you have been evolving to do that? Like, do you meditate? Do you, I don't know, do DMT? Like, were there things that you kind of work into your day that you always kind of allows you to do that, to really get centered and focused?
Yeah. So I think I go with my like spirit, like OD, so I definitely meditate every day, or just like take time to go within myself, just like think and ponder about my own shit, so I do that all the time. And then I have certain practices, like, I have this, I call it future nigga coding. This is like art practice that I created. And it's this, I could like take any word and just kind of like create a shape. And I have all these shapes around, you know what I mean? And I can look at the shape and know the word. And I've just been using that just to like alter my reality around me. Like, you know what? Because I feel like this whole thing, because it's like with the Matrix shit, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, for one, why is Neo taking pills from some random nigga? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, bro, don't take pills from no random nigga. That's number one. He should have got up and been like, he should have been like, oh, so everything I've been thinking is real? Let me go find the shit myself. Let me go. Like, you taking pills, like, But beyond that, I feel like, it's a matrix, but I think it's a matrix reality. It's like you build your own matrix, though. Like, it's not, it's like, that's what you do here. Like, you build how it communicates back to you. You know what I mean? If you're always thinking a certain way, it's going to communicate back to you a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, I alter my like reality as much as I can to produce, the best version of me every day. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm not on it, my girl can help me, Corey helps me just, she be kicking me in my head like, hey, you know what I'm saying? And then myself too, I try to do that, myself.
How do you guys balance that? I've always found difficulty in that, two creatives living together, in terms of having enough creative space, right? Straight up having like, oh, this is the place that I can go to do what I have to do. This is the place that I go to do what I have to do. How do you guys have it set up? If you mind talking about it, like, do you guys have two different places, or is it like, do you?
Nah, you in it right now. This is so the side you see behind me is her side, and then my side is this side over here.
Yeah.
You know, so and this is we moved in here maybe last year, so we have like a studio room. You know, we have a bedroom studio room finally. So, you know, we just, I think maybe because my main focus is music and her main focus is visual art, that creates a balance. But I think we just click, man. I don't know. It just makes sense. Like, you know, it makes sense. I don't know. Cause I definitely annoy her. You know what I'm saying? Like, we annoy each other, obviously, you know what I mean? But we both know like what the main purpose is. So we'll get past that annoying shit, you know?
Yeah. No, sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's, I know it's different for everybody, but for us, I think we kind of know that's going to happen because we're both artists and we're both, you know, we know that. So we kind of deal with it, you know, head on, I'd say.
And so they're really, especially because of kind of like where you guys both are in terms of raising basically a new child, there wasn't that much of a shift then, huh? Once all of this stuff happened, because it's kind of like you guys were home already, probably spending a good majority of time.
That is very true. That's part of the reason why it's like, you know, it wasn't a crazy shift for us, because we definitely were, you know, spending time. It would be really, you know, if she goes out, I'm with the baby. If I went out, she's with the baby, or we're both with him, you know. And it's been that, you know, for a while. So this kind of amped that up, basically. It's just less time where like, unless I'm going out for groceries or something, you know what I'm saying? But it's been that. So you're right. It's been that since he's been here. So
from the style perspective, though, I don't know why I'm very intrigued in this idea. Like, do you think that this whole thing with everybody wearing masks and gloves and everybody rocking Zoom calls with no pants on and whatever, like, do you think we're going to see kind of like this evolution in impersonal fashion because we've just literally changed the rules on why any of this stuff matters, right? Like, and I actually want to follow that up with music as well, because I actually think something has happened there too, in terms of like, you know, club music being for the club now is very different when there is no club. So then do you need to make club music, you know? You know, but we can start with the first one and then we can get into that, because I see you want
You feel me?
Yeah.
You know what it is? That same thing I'm saying of like how, you know, the reality is like a cycle, but it's like on, you know. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it's almost like, you know, in movies, right? They show like when you go through a new dimension, a new reality, it's like the wormhole. It's like niggas be like, it's like, you know, the fucking sparks and shit. And you know, it's like what's that gate? What's the movie? The Gate? Was it something gate? Stargate. You know what I mean? The big circle. Like that's what, you know, Hollywood, that's what we see of like the dimension is changing, but really is these ideas that just get, you know, deconstructed real quick. And because we live in a reality where it's really not planet Earth, is almost like the state, or like Earth, the state, you know what I mean? Because on the internet, it's all connected. Even countries or wherever that don't have internet, all information gets everywhere. So we're all tapped in and we all are seeing what's happening at the same time. We're all seeing like, you know, these industries that we're seeing, okay, it's not functioning as amazing as everybody thought, you know, or this is not as good as everything that's switching. I feel like that's the new dimension. That's like, oh, the reality is changing because, like you said, now there's no club. That's going to shift how people making music. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's almost like, you know, it's like, how much sneakers you gonna cop now when you ain't got nowhere to go to the store?
Or is it gonna be the reverse? Like, is it gonna be the like, you're gonna overdress for basic shit? Like, do we get the other swing? Do we get to swing back to like
it's gonna be
the 40s and 50s where all of a sudden everybody's just like, I'm in the 3-piece suit and I'm going to Whole Foods. And it's like, why are you wearing that? It's like, what you mean? I need to get these fits off.
Oh yeah, best dressed for the Ralph's run to the Ralph's. You know what I'm saying? But nah, I think it's going to be a balance. So yeah, people are definitely going to take it, there. But I think there's also an element of like people who have been feeling this kind of frequency way before, who are seeing it like, oh, okay, now everybody's kind of seeing the free. So it's like that just elevates the idea of like, oh, I was right. Like, oh, like, yeah, this shit, like, man, a lot of this shit been fucked up, man. Like, it ain't new. Like, people been talking about a lot of this shit that's going, they speak about like it's going to happen, then it happened. And then they speak about something else that's going to happen, then it happens. It's like, it get redundant. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I think some people is elevating on that conscious level, and like, I feel like we're gonna start seeing the mutants. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what
mutants is out here.
Yo, what idea do you think is dead? Like, which one do you think we won't carry over past this? Like one of these larger, because like you said, the Earth, the state, I think was a really strong statement. Because you ever read *Sapiens* before?
*Sapiens*.
Yeah, it's a book by Yuval Noah Harari. But he talks about he talks about how basically like all of this shit is, I mean, it's fake in the sense that like there is no absolute truth about any way that we exist, right?
Yeah.
Like the lines in the road are an agreement that we don't cross them. But there's nothing actually keeping us from not crossing them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he was talking about the biggest story. So we live on these narratives and we all choose to agree with them.
Yep.
Therefore they exist.
Yep.
Right? So like money is the biggest thing. It's like a green piece of paper means nothing. But if you agree that it means something and I agree that it means something, then we can actually use it for something. And I wonder what is going to be left in the past after this now. Like when we emerge out of this, what are those things that have been deconstructed that can't be reconstructed again? Is there anything you think is like for sure done?
I don't even know. I'm gonna have to dream on that. I'm gonna have to have a dream and go travel and see. Like, I don't know. I feel like I literally feel like this is everything, and that's why I say it's like on some new dimension. Because it's like because of the internet, because of just socially how we communicate, because of that, it's kind of like everyone who's tapped into like the screen is seeing what's happening everywhere, and everybody got somebody who like dealing with it. Or like if I hit some of my homies up in New York, they got the mask on if they out or whatever. Like the seeing shit like that is like, damn, like everybody, you know what I mean? So I think just that mentally is the like how people approach everything that they about to do, regardless of whatever industry is going to be moved a certain way, and that's, and I will say it's only people who, are spiritual or going on. It's just literally anyone who's tuned in, because it's something that's happening on such a mass scale. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Cause I think, I'm talking to a few people on the pod, and like, even the idea of living I used to always be this person, same thing. It's kind of like, man, I can only live in New York or LA because those are the cities. That's the stuff that I'm interested in. And then when you take everything away, right, what makes those cities interesting, then you're like, oh, wait a minute, everything is flat now. Like
you know what I mean? Not to cut you off, but like that's gentrification. You know what I'm saying? So that's like the layer on top of the layer. So like I remember at one point everywhere I went, when I was traveling, like I went to Berlin, they were talking about gentrification. I went to South Africa, gentrification. I'm like, damn, it's everywhere, nigga. Like, God damn. So, and then seeing in Brooklyn, like you said, like, certain places not being like how we used to be. You know what I mean? Now it's totally changed. But instead of that happening like in a span of a 5 or 6 year, whatever, now it just happened in a span of like a few months. So that's why it's like, but it's the same idea of like everything changes, everything grows, nothing is stagnant. Like it's all change is the only thing that's consistent in the reality. It's like, it's going to change. It's not going to stay like that. So either preparing for that or whatever is like up to you, but always everything's going to change. Like Brooklyn's gonna change. Everywhere is gonna change, you know. So now we just kind of seeing this weird kind of change, you know what I'm saying? But
because it just happened, like it literally.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's a lot of people that don't want to take it seriously, and it's like, you know, however people feel about the virus or not, the way in which this thing is rolled out has been essentially like a natural disaster. That literally 1 minute the world was one way, and now it's another. And how we whatever the next step is going to be is so vastly different that I don't think people truly realize kind of like what you know, what is upon us next. And I do think that like you said, that they take the time to not worry about the future, but really sit back and just be like, what do I actually want out of the next 5 years, the next 10 years? Like, what is, because once you take away the ability to go right down the street to to a bar or go to Soho, or once you take away all these trappings, then what is real in your life that matters the most? You know, once if all those things went away, well, they're gone. So now what? You know, you get to answer those impossible questions that motherfuckers be asking you
real quick.
It's like, oh yeah, now you get to answer that question. Now what is it? What is the answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you on too long. I got a dog that needs to walk.
Nah, it's all good.
But I wanna wrap it up in 2 questions. For you, what do you want to come away with, you think, coming out of this whole scenario? Like what
well, I mean, for me, it's like a daily research project into self, like always. So whether it was this or something else, the research project is still going on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still like, right now it's like, Marlo need to get his diaper changed. I don't give a fuck if it's a COVID, the corona, whatever, like, I still got to do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, let me make sure I'm in the best headspace. Let me make sure I'm healthy. Let me make sure my business is right. Let me cut off certain things that may be holding me back and causing stress that I see down the line. Let me cut it off now so I don't have that stress, because that stress takes away time for me being with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just understanding like, okay, the more I focus on like being the best me and focus on self, like, it's going to resonate. So let me continue to do that no matter what's going on. So, you know, that's the goal, continued every day, you know? So.
Yeah, there's another podcaster, I think his name's Jocko Willenick, and his big thing is there's that discipline equals freedom. And and it is in what you say in those things, like, some things don't change, right? Baby's got to get their diapers changed. They got to go to sleep at a certain time. They got to be fed.
Right.
There's this routine that has to get built.
So, exactly.
And if you
That's a constant.
And if you show up for that routine every day, it somehow benefits you by giving you the ability to kind of now be clear-headed in these other spaces. Yeah, I think that is dope. The last thing is, you know, we all grew up in this culture that we call hip hop. And whether it be as a dad, whether it be as a producer, whether it just be as a man, what has it taught you that you use every day?
Hip hop.
Yeah.
That's a good question. This came to me as soon as you said it. Diversity is key. Like, you know, I think for me growing up, I just always, like, everybody was just unique, diverse. Like, I just was able to tap into people that had their own worlds, like building a whole universe around this shit. Like, that always just works. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's because it's certain artists and certain people who tap into like themselves. Like ODB was like, I know I'm off beat. I know I can't sing. I know the bar don't even matter, but you know this shit is hard, and you gonna act like I'm rocking while I'm saying it. You're gonna give me that same whatever because of that energy and that carelessness of like, I'ma just do my own shit, you know. And I think is also I think sometimes, you know, we want people to be the same or whatever, but I think the diversity, if we understand the diversity more and respect diversity within cultures and people, everything, like shit will be way more lit. You know, we kind of want people to be in a box of, it's like, nah, literally everyone is having a different existence, a different point of view in the reality. It's 100%. Not one thing, you know, yeah. it's you know, it's like a beehive. It's like everyone having their own thing. So I think hip hop kind of really showed me that, just tapping into artists like that. And it made me want to build, you know, my own universe and build my own, you know, music, and how I treated my music. Everything was just inspired by those artists that I grew up on. So, and I kind of see how that can trickle off into just life, you know? Yeah. So I say maybe that, just like, yo, diversity.
No, that's amazing. Like
diversify your bonds, nigga. You feel me?
Yo, the wildest thing is like, every time I ask that question, it's never the same answer.
Right.
And I love that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because it really proves how strong the ideas in it are.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, man. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, hell yeah.
From the fam and take you
thank you.
And making random YouTube and other sponsored videos that I watch and just figure out how to deconstruct. Because you've fully been an inspiration when it comes to me figuring out live shows, when it comes to figuring out how I want to visually see certain things on stage. You're the first person on YouTube that I go to.
I mean, we spoke before. Like, I feel like we spoke about just tech things before. Like, you might have hit me up or vice versa. Just like, yo, how you do this? Or like, how you did that? Like,
yeah. When I first got the MPD, I was definitely like, yeah. but also just you know, because you think in a you're seeing things at the same time. A lot of times people I'll just make a beat and then it'll be 7 months before I have to think about a tour or a show. Oftentimes you're connecting those dots together, and so when you see it that way, you're here to you know, deconstruct. But man, thank you.
Nah, respect. Thank you, yo.